could bring up with Envy is their entry fragging has always been such a big strength, and especially with the loss of Keo, who was a strong entry fragger for some time. Yeah, you're going to need either Apex to have a big game, Kenny to have a big game with the AWP to get picks if they don't go for entries.
All right, well, here we go. We are going to be jumping into the final game of today, and it's going to be Apex that kicks it off, breaking a deadlock with the headshot onto Showtime. So CT side going to be EnVyUs and Tempo Storm instantly off onto the B side, actually. So it seems that EnVyUs are setting up for that retake. They do have full-on Kevlars, so no defuse kit. Although if they continue to land these frags, it's simply not going to matter. However, there is Bolts to answer back in kind. Smoke is going to screen Henny for now. 3 players coming up long for EnVyUs, and just spoiled for choice, really, Lucas. He couldn't manage to get his aim around in time. Here comes Henny now. 2-on-2 as the frags keep getting exchanged. Henny with yet another one. And now Kenny is up on the plateau with 15 HP. Has to be oh so careful. He knows there's a player in Chicken Coop. But now he is the last player remaining. And he gets dispatched as well. Henny is going to go ahead and bag himself 4 frags in the pistol round.
Yeah, we were wondering if he's going to show up, and that's a ridiculous pistol round because Envy, that looked so good. Just essentially on the CT side, just rushing up mid, finding an opening kill and going for a quick flank towards that B bomb site, getting another kill as well. So it looked like Envy was just about to set the pace of the tone of this game, saying we're just going to bring it to you. You know, this slump, we're in be damned, we're just going to go for it. But Henny comes up with a huge play and just completely stops him cold.
But yeah, and they're 4-on-3 in EnVyUs' favor. You're thinking, okay, well, they're landing the headshots. This should be absolutely deadly to rights for them. But, well, you can't really factor in for Henny. And we did mention how he's going to perform, how he's going to be stepping up. Well, maybe that's the answer. Straight up AK with the 3 SMGs, looking for that farm. EnVyUs, meanwhile, do go for a force, as expected, of course, with just the flashbang on Happy. But a very A-centric defense here. Yeah,
and Tempo is just playing this very, very passively, just looking for anything. And right now, Showtime's the one who's going to lead the way with this MAC-10. He's ahead of everyone over towards A Hull, see if he can find some kind of stack. But still being very, very patient with us. He's the only aggressor on the entire Tempo Storm side. And if he continues pushing forward, he's going to find plenty of bodies over in the stairwell.
He certainly will, but even if he dies, it'll be vital information if he spots 2 or 3 players, and you'd expect to see the rest of his team start to force on in. There is the cheeky frag from Kenny. And there we go. As soon as they see the player stacked in danger and made the bomb traversing through onto B, and it will be a very simple plant. And I wonder at what point EnVyUs think about actually just backing off and keeping some of these pistols alive, especially as they have the MAC-10 in their hands as well.
Well, now they're in this situation where NBK and Devil are not going to be aggressive towards the double doors at least. They might, yeah, they're going to clear out drop right now. That's nice from NBK, but Kenny and Happy coming on the flank, they might just set up for exit kills over here, and they kind of have Tempo Storm trapped at the bomb site. Tempo Storm's going to have to fight their way out of this to save these guns.
Well, that's the worrying point now, because EnVyUs have got the first kill. This is going to definitely bait them into going straight in for the defuse and trying to just win this round outright. The MAC-10 has landed as well from Bolts, so Tempo Storm are going to hold on. And that's the reason originally I was thinking, okay, are EnVyUs just going to save? They're going to give themselves another chance in round 3, but no, maybe Greed got the best of them.
That kill on that NBK gets in drop, and then the one more over towards platform, that kind of really set Envy. They're like, all right, now with this bomb timer, we still have plenty of time to go for this. Let's actually see if we can make something happen. Doesn't work out in the end, but they do good damage on a Tempo Storm. It's the T side, so it's a little bit more manageable.
Yeah.
This round, you see a little bit of an investment from Envy in terms of their pistols. They have a couple HE grenades to utilize, and instead of stacking at the A bomb site, they're going to head over towards the B site. And if they hear these footsteps, those 2 nades could do massive damage.
They certainly could, and it would appear they have both been thrown out, not doing quite as much damage as previously expected, and Phelps comes in with 3 MAC-10 frags. Money in the bank. Actually gets a 4th as well. He is going to be silenced, but the damage has surely been done here to EnVyUs. Now Happy's quest is to take as many players with him as possible to the grave. Only the 1. So a blistering start from Tempo Storm, but now EnVyUs this buy up and need to start getting some rounds on the board.
Yeah, that nade actually, those nades actually do good damage on a Lucas, but unfortunately, like you said, Phelps is the one who comes out drop with that MAC-10. A lot of bonus money he just builds up there. 3 kills with it, extra $1,800, so it's pretty decent money built up on Bolts, Lucas, and Showtime through those first 2 rounds. No op on Kenny quite yet.
I do like the Apex and the rest of EnVyUs were going for these fairly off strats with stacking sites. You know, I had 4 players on A, then 4 players on B. I like the idea, just didn't quite pay off for them. However, with the rifles out now, a much more slower paced Tempo Storm. Bomb dropped back towards the statue in mid. Declaration of intent, not too interested in going super aggressive just yet. Pretty standard across the board right now. Although, because of EnVyUs' previous few rounds, they don't have a great deal of utility to play with now. Only a smoke and a few flashes to their name, and it's still 1 minute and 10 to play with.
Yeah, Tempo Storm's going to let this clock run down a little bit deeper, just make sure they have all those smokes that aren't going to be in choke points. The one in the mid just fades now, Henny's been decently aggressive with that AWP. And Devil's caught on platform right now, so he's got to be a little bit careful. There's a smoke right there. That flash doesn't work out for him. Well, not nearly as much as he wanted it to.
Fortunately for him, though, doesn't get punished for it, and there is a double stack anyway on Plateau.
Yeah, this is a 6 split towards the A bomb site as well. This defense of the A site is just about to get wrecked. No one's guarding drop whatsoever, so Phelps gets 2 kills. That's going to open up the A bomb site for Tempo Storm.
Absolutely horrendous if you're EnVyUs stat, as you say, just sleeping a little bit in drop zone will get punished. And now the player's pushing across to the A site, where the bomb's going to get planted momentarily. There we go from Showtime. And again, EnVyUs now have a decision to make. Without a defuse kit or any utility to burst back on the site with, surely you just save.
Yeah, they've already called it a couple seconds ago, and that just can't happen. That's too easy for Tempo Storm. Phelps just can't just come through drop like that and maybe be able to get 2 kills for free down mid. So whatever defense Envy was running, there was some kind of miscommunication on who had eyes on drop at that point, but even Henny here is doing his best to clean things out at the end, not letting them save these weapons. But what a nice round from Tempo Storm.
And every kill is massive in these kind of situations as well. You want to be taking 3 assault rifles through into the next round so you can drop and get another rifle round out of it. So that's going to hurt them a little bit more. Looks like MBK and Devil will retain their weapons. As you say, yeah, it looked like they went for more of a passive drop zone defense because of their lack of utility, not being able to flash or smoke or anything like that, but then lack of communication or something, so Phelps just jumped on top of that.
Yeah, mistaken rotation out of drop. I mean, that was the thing. That was kind of the time when the smokes were all starting to fade away. The smokes were all out of their utility, so they were just moving back. But Phelps, huge entries from him. He's had a big start to this game. This is the scary part as well, because Envy has been, well documented. They've been struggling. They haven't been playing well lately. This is a team that, if they go down big early, they could just fold. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of mentality they're going to have if they're going to be able to stabilize at some point during this.
Definitely the case. They spoke on the desk about the psychology of the game, how confidence can affect your performance, and EnVyUs certainly fall into that category. Some of their star players, likes of Kenny S, can certainly start to second-guess themselves. And so far, so good for Tempo Storm. Not just the 4-0 lead, but the man advantage as well, as Happy has been momentarily silenced. Yeah. Again, they're just playing it slow and steady, just allowing EnVyUs to almost hang themselves, and it appears that Apex goes in. 2 frags for him with the 5-7. Picks up the AK as well. This could be massive, but goes back in for seconds and gets punished.
Yeah, huge play. Tempo Storm had them outplayed at the moment, getting attention towards drop and then rotating back towards the A bomb site, but huge plays from Apex. And here's Devil. He's even going to get one more. The rotation is on as well.
It certainly is. A big passage of play from EnVyUs. They're still not out of the woods just yet, though. Only a Molotov to their name. Kenny S with absolutely nothing other than the P250, and Henny has picked off MBK, who goes looking with 38 seconds to go. And the bomb in the hands of Tempo Storm. It's looking good for them to get over to the site. However, are they going to expect Devil to be coming up from behind? Yes, they are. Henny puts him down. Here comes Kenny S with the aforementioned P250. Now Henny, who started this round off in such strong fashion, is here to try and finish it off as well. 20 seconds. Kenny playing it slow behind the truck. Kenny spots him, goes for the spray. Isn't going to get it. Oh, it's such a rough confrontation, but Kenny S just about comes out on top.
Yeah, huge play from Apex just to slow that hit down, and even actually Tempo Storm so smart in those situations. You saw how patient they are with the clock running down in that 2-on-3. Henny's able to find some fantastic shots, but this was a nice self-pop flash. Everyone's blind, all 3. There's no cover whatsoever for his teammates. That's sick stuff, but now also Kenny gets a free AWP out of the situation. So Envy on the board with 1, going up against 4 rounds for Tempo Storm. That was just with 2 saved guns, so they actually didn't invest too much into that round, all things said, all things told there.
It's so important, though, for EnVyUs to keep this going, otherwise they will reset their round loss bonus and be up the creek without a paddle. Devil and Happy to answer back, though. The first frag did go the way of Tempo. Kenny S got caught with his pants down up on the platform. So that AWP has been dropped and unable to be picked up so far from EnVyUs. It looks like they will be going for a boost, though. Try and get that on Devil, or indeed they will. Meanwhile, Phelps dispatches Happy. The bomb, however, is over on the other side of the map, so Tempo Storm aren't able to make the most of that on A just yet.
This is really sick what Tempo Storm's doing, is attracting attention elsewhere and then coming down drop. And Happy's got to be so confused how the Phelpses get here, but NBK right now trying to hold this down as the bomb rotates back for Tempo Storm, and he's doing a superb job. It's just Lucas left in a 1-on-2, but he's got a massive health advantage.
Oh, he absolutely does. Only 17 HP between the two of EnVyUs. The thing is, though, if they play this crossfire correctly, they'll be all theirs, but they have split up. In these kind of situations, would you almost expect EnVyUs to go for a 2-stack because they know the HP is so low?
Well, you definitely see at least Apex maybe a little bit closer to connector, but yeah, they need to stick together. Now NBK's got to buy a lot of time in that bomb site for Apex to rotate over.
Gotta say, though, that very nicely done on NBK to start off with, using the terrain to his advantage. However, Lucas finally gets him, and now you've got to heavily favor Lucas to pick this one up. Going to be faking the bomb, trying to draw Apex out into the open. Who has been spotted, the dink comes in, but partially through the walls, so it's not going to do a great deal of damage. And how is Apex still alive right now? 7 seconds, Lucas has to go for the full plant. Apex knows this. He's going to try and relocate himself into a good position on the exit, but he's going to get picked off in the head. And you can see how hyped Tempo Storm are about that, because they've just broken the economy of EnVyUs.
Yeah, they're hyped because that's the nightmare situation now. It's only Kenny with any kind of money whatsoever. Everyone else is so incredibly low. 1,800 for Apex, 2,100 for Devil. This is not a good spot. And Lucas just doing a very good job of juggling the angles, juggling the aggression, going back and forth, making sure he's not going to get caught off guard. That's a sick and a very crucial 1-on-2 to win.
You can see how that impacts EnVyUs now, who have gone for Kevlar, who've upgraded pistols, no assault rifles, nothing really to use. It's going to be a rough round for them. It has been an incredibly rough start to Cobblestone.
It's going to be really interesting to see how Envy adapts to what Tempo Storm is doing, because they're applying so much pressure on elsewhere on the map and then exploiting drop very effectively. So Envy, they can get abused now. If they put too much emphasis on drop, then that's just going to injure the rest of their defense. So Tempo Storm has a lot of options available to them just based on the success they've had early on here.
Absolutely. If Tempo Storm adapts to that, as you mentioned, then it could become an absolute train wreck for EnVyUs, who've yet to really get their economy moving forward. And as expected, Tempo Storm will pick up the 6th round. And we mentioned before as well about how important Apex is going to be on Cobblestone. If they end up getting completely wrecked on this first half, that puts even more pressure on him on the T side.
Oh, yeah, and it might not even matter if they don't get enough rounds here. So it's 7 rounds in, and the question is, if they lose, actually they're going to go for another save here, because they actually did invest a pretty decent amount in that last round. They had armor on 3 or 4 players.
Yep.
They had some upgraded pistols. So Kenny's going to have enough money for the AWP, even with this armor and CZ investment into this next round. But they've got to start putting them on the board, and they've got to string them together. They cannot afford to get reset again in this half immediately.
Just some kills, just take a couple weapons away from this. Maybe will be good enough for EnVyUs out of round number 8. But Tempo Storm have been relentless. This ruthless aggression has continually worked in their favor. And again, MBK will be biting the dust in drop zone. So they did go for the drop stack again, but pistols against AKs, only going to be one winner.
This is the scary part now, because when Envy in the past has kind of struggled in some of these matches and gotten beaten up early during the slump, the big knock that we always hear about them is, like, even some of their players admit the communication just starts declining. It's just even at times going all the way to 0. That communication is so important to guard drop zone and how you rotate to and from defending that if you get pulled in another direction. And if they don't have pristine communication from here on out, it's going to be an issue. Now you have a double op setup, though, so that should at least help stabilize some of the edges. We saw Kenny actually struggle with it. He got on the platform with it, couldn't get a comfortable shot, and he gets taken out early in the previous gun round. Now Happy's got one as well.
I do wonder at what point, if it continues to go in this fashion, that EnVyUs will call the pause.
I imagine if they lose this gun round, they're going to call pause right after that.
Just try and wrap their heads around what's going wrong. Try and go back to the drawing board. As you say, double op setup comes in, and Tempo Storm may realize this with pistol rounds back-to-back, that it could be a heavy investment, and therefore playing aggressively could certainly help them out. Happy with his aim trained onto platform. Here come the smokes and the flashes. He still gets the frag though while flashed up. Here comes Devil as well. Great spray down. Great round so far from EnVyUs. And it seems the double pistols have came to fruition. Devil goes back in, will pick himself up the kill. Much better from EnVyUs. That could do their confidence the world of good.
Yeah, absolutely. That was beautiful by Happy. Very effective there, and not even losing any players in that round as Envy. So they get to build up some money. They get to reinvest into this round. Happy can actually get armor. He was a glass cannon last time, so now you can see now they have some Molotovs. They have all the 5 smokes. These are all the ingredients they need to start stringing rounds together. And actually, despite some of the good runs, 3 rounds in a row that Tempo went on, their money is not the strongest anymore. Lucas is all the way down at 400. A lot of players are sitting right around 1,300. So they're in a fragile state as well in these next couple rounds. Very crucial to see if this is going to be able to turn into a comeback for Envy.
Well, if it is, they're going to have to do something they haven't been able to do so far, and that's get back-to-back rounds. Get some momentum in their favor. Oh my goodness, and again, it's drop zone that is proving to be the weakness.
That's where the adaptation needs to come in. NBK needs a little bit more help in that drop zone, because Tempo Storm is proving they're putting a lot of emphasis on it early in the round, and they're winning that battle.
Time after time, we are seeing that first frag get exchanged in drop zone in favor of Tempo Storm. With the double ops, you can just play more defensive and passive and try and get the angles, but the problem is that you are therefore lacking more utility. You're lacking that extra AK or M4 to lock these key areas down. In Tempo Storm, they're not going to be just jumping in hell for leather. They are still playing this one very patiently. There's still a lot of time to play with.
EnVy's actually cheated over towards the A bomb site. They had 3 players there initially. Devil is just now cheating back towards that B bomb site, but he's so worried about that drop zone that's been abused frequently. He's being very, very cautious on how he does it. So it's very much alone. Happy has got to come up with a big play, and he's going to be able to fall back towards the statue and at least get a little bit more cover, but it looks like Tempo Storm is going to encroach on this B bomb site. 30 seconds left.
Yeah, and you can see the impact it has, because Happy then has to start darting around, watching multiple angles from the statue. Now he's gone back up onto the platform, missing that first shot is at least going to allow Tempo Storm to funnel their way onto the site. 20 seconds to go. Can Happy land some frags? There's the first one. He's going to have to rinse and repeat, though, if they want to keep this bomb from being planted. It gets charged down from Lucas. Tempo Storm take the player lead. Kenny S looking to set up with the rest of his teammates to retake this site, but they have given up the plant. Kenny S, nice flick shot onto Henny. That's a big frag. A big scalp to get second for Kenny. And Apex has came in as well, so it's all going to be on Showtime, who's actually slightly out of position, so this could just be the straight-up defuse, but are they expecting this from EnVyUs' perspective? And as the frag comes out, looking for the second, and Showtime is going to bag it for Tempo Storm, and EnVyUs are going to be kicking themselves.
Especially because the bomb was not planted for Showtime whatsoever in those double doors. It was on the other side of the fountain. He could have just hopped on that bomb and probably stuck the defuse. But a beautiful round to win. You can see Kenny's not prepared for that whatsoever. His 2 kills go to waste, and Apex couldn't adjust in time, brings him down to 12 HP. But another huge round for Tempo Storm. And EnVy, they just can't string them together. That's the hard reset again. Now that they did survive with 5 members that last round they won, so they have plenty of money next round. They'll be able to have a really solid buy as well.
It really has not been going too well for the Frenchman today, I think it's fair to say.
No, not at all.
It could get a whole lot worse for EnVyUs. We did mention before, they've been unable to get rounds back to back. That curse has continued, and I don't see this going any other way than Tempo Storm.
It's that kind of a play that's actually a little worrisome to me for EnVy right now, because Apex he's all alone in those halls and he tries to take that fight. I mean, this is a round where you only have pistols. Try and find a 2-on-1 fight. Try and find an advantage where you can gang up on a kill, salvage an AK-47. And you can see here these deaths for EnVy. They're in no position to be traded. They're in no position where there's any teamwork set up. There's no pop flashes. There's no flashbangs whatsoever. So Happy gets taken out after 1 kill. And that's a nice lurk there from Phelps on the platform. And this is quickly going to be over here as NBK gets taken out through the door. 9-2 now for Tempo Storm.
Maybe a little demoralizing from EnVyUs, because in the previous pistol rounds, we saw them stacking 4 players on each site, as you alluded to before, getting those all-important avenging frags. But yeah, as you say, it's just a case of pretty much 1-for-1 instances where, of course, the pistol's going to come out second best.
And now another round where you can see this is another buy from EnVy. They have the rifles, but they're a little bit light on utility. Devil only has a Molotov. They've got 4 smokes at least, but this is going to run out pretty quickly. No kits as well on the EnVy side.
It's certainly worrisome. But EnVyUs, if they're going to claw their way back into this map, of course, Cobblestone, you can get a lot of work done on the T side. So I don't want to say it's GG just yet, but with every moment that passes, with every frag that's exchanged in favor of Tempo Storm, it certainly gets closer to the finish line for them.
Look at this discipline as well from Tempo Storm, not being fooled by any kind of aggressive play from EnVy, making sure they're keeping their eye on everything like that. Any kind of cheeky play that EnVy wants to make, Tempo Storm has the response. Pop flash through the smoke, catches him completely off guard. Good kill from Phelps. Devil's at least able to get away, but they forced back the pressure from EnVy.
Kenny just got timed pretty bad. That is a big kill low from Henny, stopping Happy, who was trying to lurk around the back and flank around the back side of Tempo Storm. Bomb on its way towards the A site. Seems that EnVyUs have called this, but they simply lack the manpower. They simply lack the utility to do anything about it. That molly perfectly placed right into the open, and Phelps with a double spray down. Double digits already for Tempo Storm. EnVyUs, again, have very little money to play with.
Yeah, 4 kills on Phelps. He's got 15 and 7. He's been a monster in that drop zone flanking towards the A bomb site, but the presence from Henny, I just mentioned that discipline. You could see away from the action towards that B bomb site, Happy's trying to get a lurk on. And it's Henny who's just watching for that Halls push because he has a teammate inside connector. He knows no one could come from stairs, and they're just saying, all right, all of our teammates, they have all this pressure put on them. They've gotten a couple kills. They've forced that back. The next logical place is for someone from EnVy to try and find some information, try and get a cheeky flank over here towards Halls, and they're prepared for it.
Well, at least a bit of good news for EnVyUs in the sense they have picked up the first kill, but they are just stacking through B long, and Tempo Storm will be happy enough with this trade. It's no longer good enough for EnVyUs to take weapons away from Tempo Storm. They have to start converting that into rounds. They've been absolutely unable to do that. Now still on MBK. We haven't really seen any clutches coming for EnVyUs, so it's hard to get too hyped about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it hasn't even gotten to that point, has it? And the unfortunate part for EnVyUs, the 2 rounds they've won, I mean, they lost 4 straight and then 1 a round, and then lost 3 straight in 1 a round. So they've actually, the losing bonus for them has never really built up. So some of these buys they've had are really, really kind of sketchy for them to be able to string rounds together. And Tempo Storm are tactically outplaying Envy as well right now. That's the real danger.
Yeah, we discussed a lot about the fact that it's individual performances. You've got some huge players on both sides, but as you say, yeah, tactically, Tempo Storm have just been a cut above EnVyUs. You've had no answer whatsoever to what they've been facing off against.
A double op set up again for Envy. This time there's no armor on Kenny, no armor on Happy, so 2 glass cannon. And Tempo Storm have complete control of this match.
This is a similar buy-up that we saw Envy pick up their second round with, and I'm not sure that Tempo Storm will fall for this twice. And that did also rest on Happy picking up a couple of huge kills while flashbanged. However, Devil plays more aggressively, and it could be that history's going to repeat itself, and he does answer back, and his last player, 2 frags coming for him. Surely EnVyUs aren't going to let this one slip as well. This could very well be their last line of defense against a punishing defeat. And he's on the prowl. Lots of time to play with in the bomb. He does miss the frag, and that's going to cost him his life. EnVyUs finally pick up a third, but you can see it on Happy's face. That pretty much sums everything up for EnVyUs so far.
Actually looks a little bit mad.
He does.
Yeah, I mean, that's Henny. If he gets that kill, that kill on MBK, that becomes a little bit more doable. But I actually thought this change of pace by Tempo was going to work out perfectly for him. Smoke on the broken wall, just dive out. Didn't look like Envy was prepared for it, but Happy hangs on once again, like you said. Just the way they won that second round, he gets a couple kills from behind that statue. Really, really good stuff that round from Envy, but it's just been the story. They haven't been able to bring that to enough rounds in this half. Now they've only got to fight for 4, and the question is that going to be a big enough window for the second half?
Yeah, and there's so many ifs, maybes, and buts and hurdles to navigate over. You have to win this round, then get the pistol round, then make sure you make no mistakes. There's a lot of keys to success here for EnVyUs. And as with the previous game that we casted together as well, they could be leaving themselves with just too few rounds to play with. Like, any mistakes and you're pretty much done. But let's see if they can get this 4th round. Tempo Storm have pretty much run with this strat time and time and time again, and why the hell not? Because drop zone has been ripe for the taking. Yeah,
and the solution so far looks like from Envy has just been to give it up, to play a little bit more passively. NBK's not playing inside of it, so at least they're not losing a member there. But Henny just outpicking Happy with that AWP. That was a really swift shot. Thor mentioned on the desk. He's known for, or he's very popular with that quick shot that he's got. And no better showcase than that one.
He does have ridiculous reaction speed. And when you have Guardian not able to make it to this tournament, I feel like Henny, one of the more entertaining opposites, safe to say, from a spectatorial viewpoint. Again, no, Tempo Storm are going to dictate the pace of the action, put their foot to the throat of EnVyUs. With just a FAMAS on Devil, holding the close angle on B, this is as rough as it gets, really.
Yeah, they get those 2 kills and then they slow it down. Just let Devil sweat it out. Look at him, he's got to be so worried at the moment. Now Phelps is coming on drop, he's been a beast. He gets 1 more. He could get a second as well, but it's Bolts that find it. It's down to Apex in a 1-on-4, so it is looking like it's going to be 12 rounds for Tempo Storm. This has been a dominant terrorist half in this matchup, and Envy is reeling at the moment.
At this point, you're just hoping Tempo Storm put them out their misery quickly.
Right, the mercy killing?
Yeah.
This has been really, really tough for Envy, and it all started with being exploited in drop zone early on. You know, that nightmare scenario that we talked about is winning that first round as CT on a map and then losing the next one. That happened 3 times in this. They were never able to string 2 rounds together, which is just brutal, because Tempo Storm's able to get this huge scoreline by essentially winning, 6 rounds against pistols, essentially 5 or 6 rounds against mostly pistols.
Yeah, and we discussed that a lot as well, with the CT economy, that you have to get back-to-back rounds. You can't afford to get 1 here, 1 there, because you just see it destroy the bank balance. On the T side, it's a lot more doable. You can also go for the Tech 9 Kevlar pushes and just try and rush out on maps like Cobblestone. It's actually a pretty feasible tactic. So you can see EnVyUs, only MBK with double digits, no one on their team with more kills than deaths. It was pretty much a horror show throughout the entire roster.
Yeah, it came down to a lot of miscommunications that Tempo Storm did a really, really good job. I mentioned it a couple times of just pulling the defense apart at the extremities of the map, making sure they got out drop zone, and that's where the communication really broke down for Envy. As soon as they took their eyes off it, the timing of Tempo Storm to apply pressure on somewhere on the map and then exploit a choke point elsewhere was so perfect that they just, Envy had no idea what hit him.
All right, well, it pretty much is do or die here for EnVyUs. Win the pistol or bust is a very simple fact that will be in the back of their minds. Nade comes out for Phelps. Actually does significant damage onto Kenny S and MBK, but he is going to fall down to the hands of Kenny S. MBK chimes in for the assist as well. Bolts from the back. Doesn't get checked. Finally gets the kill, but very messily indeed. He tries to switch across to the second player. How is he still alive? What is going on? Finally, he goes down. And now it's all on Henny with the USP.
It took so long for Bolts to fall that actually they wiped out the rest of the team during all that action. We just didn't get to catch any of it. We were waiting for that reload to come in, but there is that opportunity bought by Envy by winning the pistol round. You can see they haven't even gotten to the point yet where they're excited about that win in that round. Yeah, this was a struggle. They're not going to enjoy this replay.
I don't think either team is, to be fair.
Yeah, no.
Devil and Bolts both just in the middle of the ring, slugging it out. Just both hammered drunk, though. Can't land anything.
Nade stack, though, from Tempo Storm. They do have armor. They have pistols. A couple 5.7s. 3 nades to work with. So those are all at the B bomb site. All 5 members of Tempo actually over here at the B bomb site. It's just Kenny for Envy over towards A. He's got a MAC-10 trying to farm up a little bit for that AWP. They want to see if they can make this nade stack work, do massive damage, and just clean things up with that 5.7.
Yeah, we saw in the last round that Phelps threw a pretty tasty grenade, so if they can rinse and repeat from that, then they have a chance, and they have gone for the B stack. So EnVyUs could be walking right into the Venus flytrap. That is Tempo Storm. And they are playing passive positions as well, so by the time EnVyUs realize what's up against them, it could be too late. And as you say, there are still 3 HEs which are about to be primed and thrown. Here we go. Are any of them going to connect right into the head of EnVyUs? Yes, they will, but in fairness to EnVyUs, they have came out all guns blazing. Bolt is there with the 5.7, though, making that one a costly round for EnVyUs. But still, the all-important round does go in their favor.
A game of seconds, really. If those nades are thrown maybe a second or two earlier, that does massive damage to 2 to 3 players of Envy. So one of the things Envy's been known for on this map is that their ability when they get to this B bomb site, when they decide to explode on that site, it's so explosive, so quick that, you know, you could see it there. The nades just go a little bit past them as they all jump down broken wall. One swings wide on platform to keep that angle. Crucial angle to hold if you're going to take over that B site. So 5 rounds for Envy. They still have a long way to go. 7 rounds back on Tempo Storm.
You can see Tempo Storm certainly researching that and playing the smart round. Pretty much setting up for it. Just as you say, unfortunately, a second made all the difference. Another couple of HEs into this round as well. And EnVyUs with nearly a carbon copy strap. The only difference is that Kenny S is watching the back, making sure no pesky Brazilians get round there. And it seems now EnVyUs have decided that maybe A is the better choice, leaving Happy to lurk in drop zone. He's getting a lot of information here for his troubles, and he's going to come out and spot 2 players, gets fragged, but to be fair, that's probably worth it overall. The 1-4 trade, knowing that B is clear, just charge to A, get the bomb planted, easy round.
It'd be worth it if it was Apex with the Tech 9 or NBK with the UMP, but they actually just gave up an AK-47.
That's actually a good point, yeah.
Yeah, Bolts doesn't even have to go for this. Just save this gun, play the money situation. You get essentially a free rifle, you get the smokes, you get a kit, you get a Molotov in the next round, a lot of things which you don't often happen because you make an investment in the second or the third. That's a big find, and actually, that's one of those mistakes that could end up being smaller, it could end up being massive for Envy. Happy giving up that AK-47 there. It'll remains to be seen how it plays out, but it's a crucial weapon to just hand over to your opponents.
Definitely can change the dynamic of the next round when that's going to afford them a much healthier buy, on Bolts at least. Are they going to be able to take any more weapons away with this? As both Henny and Phelps only have USPs. MBK could be next on the chopping block, but does check the angle. EnVyUs, though, are starting to get a bit of momentum through. And Bolt's looking like he will save the AK. Indeed, he will. Look at Happy, though, that expression.
Yeah.
He's done.
Not happy whatsoever. Henny's going to have that AWP. Phelps with the FAMA, so he can have a smoke. He has a Molotov as well, but there's Bolts. I mean, look at this buy item. Full armor, kit, Molotov, smoke, all 4 nades, all 4 utility that he would need. So that AK-47 helping out a lot, and he's still got some money in the bank. Sitting at 1,800 after all is said and done. And all 5 members for Envy at the moment heading over towards this B bomb site. Looks like a rush.
There's going to be a rush indeed. 3 players with that head armor as well. This is where the UMP can absolutely rack, and MBK's going to go in first. He gets traded out, but it's worth it. The rest of his team should be following in. Bolt gets one before being dropped, and now Henny and Showtime. Only the 1 flashbang, which has already been expended from Showtime. Henny's coming around from the back. Showtime trying to bait EnVyUs' defense towards himself. I just don't feel this this retake is on the cards unless Henny can get this frag right here, right now, and it seems they feel the same way.
Yeah, that was the opportunity. Kenny gets that kill. They know there's a kit drop somewhere in that B bomb site. They more than likely go for it in a 2-on-2 with the bomb timer, with the situation it was in. But EnVy catching Cobblestone a little bit off guard, keeping that UMP on NBK, and just getting into the bomb site, a full rush. Cobblestone couldn't slow it down, couldn't stop it. So 7th round for EnVy now. Cobblestone is going to have some decent things to work with. They're going to have this M4 obviously on Showtime, the AWP on Henny. And because this is where that factor comes into play, because Bolts was able to save that AK-47 last round, he's got $5,000, so he can have a healthy buy as well. They can even drop some M4s over, so they're going to have a pretty decent buy into this next round as well.
Now this is the domino effect of CS. One small thing can make such a huge difference, as you mentioned before. Mag 7 in the hands of Lucas, but it definitely is a viable weapon on this map. You often see it used in drop zone. You can also use it up on A long. But he is going to be taking this towards the B side. EnVyUs though, credit to them, they could have just crumbled after that first half performance. They're still fighting, but he just jumps up and wrecks MBK, who knew nothing about that, and that alleviates so much pressure from the CT's point of view.
Really nice coordination between Henny and Lucas, because Lucas was just perched back by the rock, throwing some flashbangs over the wall, making sure that anyone who's going to be helping out NBK, anyone that might be able to stop Henny from getting that pick, is going to be completely blind. So really good coordination between the two of them gets him an opening kill.
Now the pressure goes right back into the hands of EnVyUs, the pendulum. Back and forth. Incendiary going to keep him at bay for a few more seconds, but EnVyUs have so much time to play with. This really isn't a huge problem. However, that does isolate Devil from the rest of his team just for a few moments. He hasn't been picked off just yet, but Lucas making that Mag 7 work. Here he comes. Devil goes in first with low HP. Can Lucas stop the onslaught? There's 2 frags coming in and a 3rd as well. Huge from Tempo Storm, and Happy must be scratching his head wondering what the hell just happened to the rest of his team. He is here, stands tall, delivers the fatal shot onto Lucas, but now the stack is in. They've seen the bomb out on the platform. Surely it's only delaying the inevitable here from Happy.
Only a matter of time, really. I mean, he's got 30 seconds. The bomb is here, like you said, but 4 members from Tempo Storm are just waiting for him to come off this broken wall. That's not going to work too well. Fake flash of the pistol. A little tricky, but Lucas that round, huge impact on that. 2 kills, but not only that, the flashbang to help Henny out earlier on. Beautiful round from Lucas.
However, it was 4 rounds back-to-back, including 2 bomb explosions, so EnVyUs will be coming out with a very healthy buy again. Tempo Storm still have work to do.
They have to respond here. They have to get this win. They have to reset the economy much in the same way that Tempo Storm did to them in the first half. This would essentially open this up in a mirror match with the T-side winning the first 4 rounds and then resetting the economy of the defense. Again, though, EnVy, they haven't even bothered going towards the A bomb site much at all this half so far. 4 members again towards B. It's just NBK very, very far back, watching for any aggression. EnVy's not even posturing like they care to even clear anything out towards the A bomb site.
Have a look at all of that defensive power that's been put down onto A site from Tempo. They had 3 players up in long. Now deciding that it's unlikely to come to fruition, so they start to back away, and unfortunately, that's when the bomb starts to transition over to this side of the map. So Showtime, if he goes looking, he could get punished. He's just going to double smoke it now. Back-to-back smokes on the doors. Eating valuable time from EnVyUs, but of course they're going to have enough time after that smoke clears, after it dissipates, to push on in. First kill again, though, goes the way of Tempo Storm. They've got the opening pick so many times so far here on Cobblestone.
It's a delayed boost up towards drop, catches Happy off guard, and that allows a second player now to cheat over towards this A bomb site. Phelps is not here to back up Showtime. He's watching over towards long. Showtime's pushed down that mid-ramp. But at least they've got 2. Pop flash to gather some information. Showtime's going to peek with it. He sees absolutely nothing, which could actually be a little scary. Lands some spam through the door, though. It's decent damage on a Devil, but because he doesn't see anything, no rotation from this B site.
Again, though, this is the importance of the entry frags from EnVyUs, because they're playing themselves into a corner. There's 22 seconds. MBK's trying to do his best to fake the B play, but Tempo Storm are having none of it, especially as after MBK dies, no one else charges out through the platform, so they must know it's the A play. And now Phelps on the site with Lucas. Molly lands right on him. He's going to get the kill before anything else happens to him, and Tempo Storm with Lucas just charge out and pick up their 14th round, and there is the economy being broken from EnVyUs again.
Such good coordination from the flashbangs on Tempo Storm on some of these plays, especially there on the rotation. As soon as EnVy's hitting into that A bomb site, they have the 1 member inside the A site who gets Molotoved out of his corner. Flashbang comes over the wall, and rotation completely blinds anyone from EnVy who would have been able to punish that running out of the Molotov. able to get a kill, and that clock was just too far gone for EnVy to recover. Now it's all desperation, 7-14. B-rush again, this time with just pistols.
The desperation charge through the Molotov eats so much of Devil's HP, but him and Kenny both come in with kills. Phelps is still here, double spray down for him, looking for a third one as well. Can't quite control it enough to pick off the player who's on statue and gets picked off from behind. EnVyUs looking good in this round, but all things considered, it is 2 weapons up against effectively just pistols. Good positions though from EnVyUs. This is a rough ask from Tempo Storm. MBK with the CZ has been tanked down to 2 HP. Here comes Happy though, into 2-on-1. They know where Showtime is. Both those sides will be trained on platform. AK in the hands of Happy as well. And Showtime is going to bag himself the first in this 1 versus 2. He's got the HE as well. Unbeknownst to him, Happy pretty much on 100% of his HP. He has no kit either, so he's going to try and fake this one out, but there's no hope of getting this clutch. And Happy will dispatch him with haste. But again, another 6 rounds required to take us to equality.
Now, well, at least this is going to buy EnVy a little bit of breathing room, it looks like. Lucas has a lot of money, over 6,000. Bolt was sitting around 3,800 or 4K before he dropped weapons over, but at least there's not going to be some strong buy. EnVy can go up against pistols here. They can try and build up some money. They can get a little bit of an easier round, but I mean, that's harking back to the old EnVy where those 4 spies were so fearsome. That one flashbang that comes over right at the end just blinds both of the Tempo Storm B defenders, and they're able to wrap around and grab a crucial win. So Tempo Storm is held back from 15 initially. Showtime close up. He's going to get dropped 2 kills for Apex.
Another worrying sign for me, though, is that EnVyUs in the rifle rounds have only been able to pick them up as a result of just rushing. So I wonder when we go back to the more standard play if they'll be able to get anything done from that. EnVyUs, though, are going to convert this anti-eco and take us back to a 5-round deficit. So it is getting a bit closer now. Double digits is always where I feel a team starts to get a lot more confidence. They start to close that gap that much more. And Tempo Storm's buy here is going to be far from fantastic. It's going to have no warps in the hands of Henny, only the one defuse kit. Plenty of grenades to play with, though. Yeah,
interesting with this many rounds to play with. They go 5 rounds ahead. They go for this buy here with 2 FAMASes. Henny's also light on utility. They could have saved 1 more, made sure they had an AWP in the hands of Henny. But instead, they're going to go here. And if EnVy can win this one, they're going to close this gap even closer. That could allow them to get up towards 11 and make this a little bit more doable.
Do you think there's a call there for to maybe from Tempo Storms that they may have jumped the gun here a little bit? Maybe saving up the 2nd round, as you mentioned, to get that open play? Because they do still have rounds as a buffer.
Yeah, I would have liked to see it. It's the conservative play, but it's definitely gives them a more high percentage round to win. But that's always going to be helpful. Kill through the smoke. I think he might have spotted his feet or at least hurt him a little bit. So Henny gets the opening pick even without the AWP. Now look at him getting aggressive. He gets caught off guard though. Devil's able to find him out. So the equalizer for EnVy. It's brought back down into a 4-on-4. And actually, now that it's in this situation, EnVy's got a pretty solid position on the map. If they can exploit drop, there's no defense here. It's all about how aggressive is Happy going to get there.
And this mid-round play is where Tempo Storm are going to start to feel their lack of utility. You can see only a HE and a flashbang. So there are no more smokes to try and fend off the charge. Originally, you did see that Showtime was thinking about coming up from behind, but decided better of it. So it's going to be very one-dimensional defense now from Tempo Storm, resting purely on fragging power, which does come in from Lucas, but the strength in numbers from EnVyUs. And Showtime, absolutely no hope of getting anything done, just wants to save this M4.
Yeah, good trades for EnVy. Tempo Storm had a decent amount of attention over towards drop, but that's not where the main prong of that attack was coming from. EnVy really hasn't tried to brute force drop zone very much. It's all been towards that B platform.
And this is also where the issue comes in from what you mentioned before, Moses, that they're going to have no economy for the next round either, even though they do save this M4. So now EnVyUs are going to have 10 rounds, and they're breathing down the neck of Tempo Storm, who look like they're going to run away with this one at halftime.
This is where we would have liked to see that save, because even we saw, I mean, they're starting to run out of utility, you know, when that hit eventually does come in from EnVy. So actually, this is pretty interesting now that Tempo Storm. This is not a bad time to call it. They're going to take a pause here, tactical pause.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, talk things over, figure out a game plan for these last 2 rounds that they need to win. The trouble now as well for Tempo Storm is when you have those 5 or 6 rounds as a buffer between you and your opponent. We mentioned it during the early match recasted earlier. We've seen it a little bit throughout the day. One of the options is grinding out the economy game. You know, being able to force your opponents to have a weaker buy, less utility to use in their rounds to try and catch up on the scoreline. They don't really have that option anymore because EnVy's actually built up a pretty decent bank. Yet NBK And Kenny's sitting right around 5,400. Devil's at 6,700. Apex and Happy are just right under 2,000. So there's a decent amount of money on this T side that they can suffer some losses and be okay moving forward.
I feel like this is where experience starts to shine through as well, because EnVyUs, with the exception maybe Devil, have been in these kind of positions so many times before. You know, chasing down a deficit, being right against the wall and trying to swing for the fences, whereas Tempo Storm, nowhere near as much, definitely not to a level of this caliber. So I do wonder if that's going to start to play in the back of their minds as well.
That's where you hope that the experience that Tempo Storm gained in Katowice with some very close matches against top teams there comes into play. They can talk things over. Maybe some of the lessons they've learned from their friends in Luminosity. Yeah. You know, practicing against them, talking to them, watching them succeed, the ways that, you know, they were able to succeed in these same situations. Take some lessons from that. But moving forward, this next buy round is going to be huge. They're going to have a pretty decent losing bonus built up in this next round. So I believe Henny will be able to have an AWP in his hands.
Yeah, 3 round losses in a row. He should be able to, yeah, as a result of this eco. You assume it's going to be an eco. It would be absolute suicidal if Tempo Storm force behind this M4. I can't see that happening.
I imagine that they're going to go with something. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Henny actually bought. Actually, no, he's the opera. You don't want him to do it. Maybe Phelps with 2,400 buys a flashbanger, or a couple of the other guys behind Showtime's M4 buy flashbang to support him. Have some kind of a pop flash set up. We know Envy has been, we're not sure if Tempo Storm's been able to read it, that Envy is setting up very, very heavy towards the B bomb site in the initial portions of these rounds. In fact, the one round they really committed to an A hit, it was in the mid round, and they got slaughtered by it. So Envy, all their successes come at this B bomb site.
It certainly has. Well, here we go. The pause has came to an end, and we're going to be jumping back into the server again. Tempo Storm, as expected, will be just tapping out for this round, allowing Showtime to maybe step up and make some miraculous plays, the hero plays. The rest of the team, though, with the exception of Lucas, who has the Deagle and the P250 in the hands of Bolts, is pretty bare bones, pretty naked by, or lack thereof.
You can see this is the idea. So Showtime and Henny get aggressive together. Henny's just there to pick up the gun if Showtime gets picked off, but he goes and clears out long A, peeks in towards the back of mid, sees absolutely nothing, and has a quick rotate. Now they're just going to gamble towards this B bomb site, knowing that, I mean, essentially this is where Envy has had all their success. So just going to come over here, cheat here. He's with all the pistols as well. And Showtime is just going to be there watching drop. He's going to protect the back of this stack, and he'll be able to rotate over towards the B bomb site if anyone hits towards that platform from Envy.
Seems that EnVyUs realize what's happening, though. They did have a quick peek through onto A-Long for a few moments there from MBK, so absolutely nothing. Maybe assuming a round like this, you plays aggressive if you're going to be stacking on A. Happy now is going to get charged down through the smoke. Phelps is the first to fall. Still, though, they haven't quite pushed through the bomb onto the A side. Happy's going to have to switch across to his Glock. He could end up getting picked off here. No, he is going to get the headshot onto Bolts, close range. Kenny S, meanwhile, makes short work of Henny, and Lucas will pick up his man. So 2 assault rifles in the hands of Tempo Storm. And this could very well just be a straight-up save.
Yeah, it definitely should be. It's more important to save these rifles into the next round rather than try and take any of the rifles away from Envy, deal any kind of economic damage. You just keep those moving forward. You want to have as much utility as possible in these next rounds. It's going to be crucial for Tempo Storm this next one to see if they can finally stop this run from Envy. It's going to be 4 straight after this round is over. And you can see Envy knows it. They're on the hunt already. And is Tempo Storm going to be able to keep these guns moving forward? Lucas is going to be the one that's under the most pressure, hiding towards T-spawn. Yeah,
and the economy from EnVyUs definitely supports, makes it a very viable choice to just charge down for these weapons. They can rebuy a good few AK-47s here if needs be.
Oh. See you later, NBK.
Dink.
He has no idea where that came from either. Nicely done from Lucas.
Looks like both assault rifles will be same. That's going to bolster the next buy for Tempo Storm. EnVyUs. Props to them for managing to get back this close. But again, it only takes one slip up and things can go horribly wrong from this point. Tempo Storm, though, will be feeling the effects, though, of this mini comeback.
Henny with the AWP, he's got armor and he's got light armor and he's got 1 flashbang behind it. So the big question mark is where is he going to take that? And again, I mean, there's no reason for Tempo Storm to put any emphasis on A, at least in the beginning of the rounds, because it's not like Envy's doing anything fast that way. And Henny's going to go for that peek again.
Yeah, we have seen him get the best of a couple of players from this position, but maybe a bit too predictable, and that's a big scalp for EnVyUs to take. Are they even going to be able to pick up that up afterwards for Phelps? It's out in the open a little bit. The mollies and the HEs stop his original charge, but looks like he's going to try and get up there. And because the HE's also exploded on the AWP, it could be pretty much anywhere at this point. Got blown to oblivion.
I think Envy actually threw a grenade just to blow it back towards them. So Devil actually picked that AWP up and brought it all the way back making sure Tempo can't salvage it. So that's a big loss for Tempo Storm, not only the manpower, but that AWP on Henny.
Going for the big plays at the start of the round. You saw his spawn was pretty solid, but so was Kenny's. That puts a lot of pressure on the rest of Tempo Storm's shoulders. It has been continually applied. They need someone to alleviate that. Phelps could be the man to do just that. He's up on the platform. He's going to go for the peek, but the flashbang lands in his face. He can't see anything. He has wrapped himself around the back, though. If he lines these up, it could be an absolute catastrophe for EnVyUs. There's the first frag, looking for the second one as well. He does pick it up finally. It's a 3-on-2. That bomb, however, is going to get planted in a few seconds. Phelps with another one. Surely EnVyUs not going to let this one slip through their fingers. Phelps is somehow still alive and playing aggressively onto the site. He's going to go for a fourth, but Kenny S just spins around on a swivel and takes him out. Now it's Showtime's turn to step up tall. He's got the defuse kit. He's got a molly and a HE as well. He derps the HE, actually. That's a bit of an awkward turn of events. Meanwhile, Kenny's on the site, peeks round and picks up the frag. And look how that body language has changed from about 15 minutes ago, Jason.
Yeah, huge stand there from Kenny S. He delivers big time with that 3 kills around the statue. This Phelps here, as you can see in this replay, it's almost like too good to be true. He had a couple different times he could have pulled the trigger a little bit earlier. This was a really sick frag to get that almost pulls this round in their favor, but almost makes the big play. Phelps has had a fantastic match dating back towards the first half, and now look at this buy from Tempo Storm. Because they were able to save those 2 rifles previously, they're able to get a couple ops here again. So double ops set up with 3 FAMASes. Henny and Phelps have those. And this time a little bit more spread out. They have 2 members towards the A site, 1 in the danger stairs, 1 in those long halls, and only 3 towards B. It's Lucas and Drop, but Phelps has got to win this duel. Kenny just swings right past him, can't pull the trigger fast enough.
How you've landed that shot, he would have just landed his 30 bomb. So it goes to show just how well Phelps has been playing thus far on both halves. Typically you'll see someone go huge on one half, but then slow down in the second, but he has just kept that foot right down on the floor. That being said though, EnVyUs haven't got an early pick. Again, the utility will prove to be an issue for Tempo Storm as the seconds tick down. No smokes remaining, they have just expended their last one.
And they missed it as well. It was a missed smoke, and Phelps is going to get caught out of position. Apex finds that first kill on the bolts. Lucas is here to do as much as he can, but the B defense has been slaughtered. Showtime on the rotation with just this FAMAS. He can't do too much. And he's going to fall right off the bat, so Henny is already in a position where he needs to save this weapon. There's no hope in the round for him.
All hope is lost for round 27. Now you just got to pretty much dust yourselves down and think about the next one.
They don't have a tactical timeout anymore.
Yep.
They already used it. Envy hasn't used theirs, I don't believe, if I recall correctly. They haven't used theirs, so they still can, but there's no reason for them right now. They're on full momentum. They even take out this AWP, and now you can start to hear some yells from the Envy side. They've made this happen. They've made this comeback, and Tempo Storm, they're going to have to save in this round. It's a light buy. They've got 5-7s. They got a deagle on bolts. They have a little bit of utility, but they have only got 1 round left to try and get to 15. It's been 6 straight for Envy.
Max 7 purchase for Lucas. Only player to really invest too much into this one. 5-7s with Kevlar for both Showtime and Phelps. As full round losses in.
This is what's crazy is that the first half was dominated by Tempo Storm by a very tactical approach to it. Envy hasn't done that. Envy's essentially opened up every single round the very same way. 1 member, it's rotated between NBK and Kenny, watching deep in the back mid for any kind of A push or A aggression for Tempo Storm, and then 4 members over towards this B bomb site. And they've just made it work in the mid round. Or in these executions on the B bomb site later on.
It's been, yeah, as you say, it's nothing out of the ordinary really for EnVyUs, just playing very solid T rounds. As we saw from Tempo Storm as well, not really mixing it up a great deal. I would have expected to see Tempo Storm try and wrap themselves around the back more in rounds like this, where they can not expect to get too much from it, but that is definitely going to be a huge pick. Not only the fact it's a frag, but the fact they can pick up the AK as well. So, a double blunder from EnVyUs. The bomb is now moving its way through mid. Happy with the double spray down, courtesy of Drop Zone. But when you see it's Happy bagging the frags, you're pretty much sure it is going to be the flanking effect, so they can stay onto the A side. They've picked up Showtime. Are they going to be expecting the double stack? Unfortunately for Tempo Storm, it's just a USP. So is Henny realistically going to get anything done from this position? Very unlikely.
Yeah, I can't imagine that he's would. He's already been spotted out, so he can't stop the bomb from going down and out. It's all left to see if he can just get a nice shot, but good round from Envy. And this flank from, or this, not this flank, this lurk from Happy over towards drop is starting to come to fruition a little bit there. 2 kills, it's an anti-eco, but without putting too much pressure on there, Happy's at least been able to be in that position. They haven't been able to clear him out very much. He's been able to gather info, he's been able to flank if he needs to, drop down and support that B hit later on. So Tempo Storm, if they could find a way to pick him off early, maybe do a boost. They did it earlier, but if they can do it again, pick him off early, then all of a sudden they have a crucial point of the map that's in their control, that's away from EnVyUs' hands. This
is now 7 rounds in a row to EnVyUs.
Yeah, and here's the change of pace. A rush towards these A-Hells. Henny's not going to be ready for that. That's a sick shot, and there's showtime to bail him out. A huge round for Tempo Storm, and one more for Henny.
Oh, the USB headshot just for good measure. And now on Kenny S, and after such a valiant comeback, tripping at the finish line potentially for EnVyUs. That shot from Henny, though, in midair. We were talking before about his reaction speed. Jeez.
That's going to be a call that's debated. That decision where they've been going B and it's been working out for him. This change of pace, but yeah, that is something beautiful.
Even in slow motion, that looked fast.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. But that is going to be debated on whether it's always that kind of idea of whether do you keep going with what's working or do you try and switch it up before they catch on. And Envy tried to switch it up and they get punished in a big way. Tempo Storm now at map point.
And so as a result, almost shocked back into the B play. Again, like, screw that A play. And I think Tempo Storm will realize this. It's unlikely after getting shut down so hard that you'd go back to another A play right afterwards.
Yeah, they go right back to this default. But, I mean, no one fell for Tempo Storm, so they have plenty of utility.
The thing is, as well, is that Tempo Storm have known that a lot of these aggressions would come on B, and they haven't really been able to deal with it. So I do worry if that even makes a bit of difference for them. Utility keeps them at bay for now. Still 2 incendiaries in the hands of Tempo Storm. No smokes, though. They just come down to the entry frags that we mentioned at the very beginning of this game. A 1-for-1 trade would more often than not favor the terrorists, but that AWP is still in the hands of Henny and unable to get out onto the site just yet.
Now they put some emphasis on drop, and that's a big opening kill from Apex. Looked like he was blind as well.
Yeah, I think he got the drive-by headshot while flashbanged. Here comes Henny though on statue, a position that Happy was using. Double frag for him. It's looking so good for Tempo now. Out of nowhere, it's all on Happy's shoulders. He's going to go for the peek, and he does get tagged partially through the wall, I believe that was. From Henny, down to 33 he goes. And it's only a matter of time, and Tempo Storm have finally finished off the game. They labored, they wavered, but finally, they've got the killing blow.
Yeah, big game from them. Phelps ends with 29 kills, never did get to that 30. But a sick first half from Helm helps from Helm, and they needed, it didn't look like they would, but they needed every single round they got in that first half. Envy brings them to the wire. That's a very cool actual stand from Envy there, where it's a team that we know just could have collapsed at any moment, that we've seen that happen. And they somehow make it work in that second half, bring it all the way back, but that is a gut-wrenching loss to come that close to a comeback.
I suppose if you are going to take the positives away from that game from EnVyUs, though, you would say there was some tenacity, there was some resilience shown. They could have crumbled. Fair enough, they still lost. Their CT performance was lackluster at best.
Well, so was Tempo Storm's.
Yep, that's very true.
Yep, but I mean, the win is the win, obviously. Yeah, if you're Envy, definitely that stand to make that comeback is obviously a positive. Kenny S had some very good stuff. Happy as well, a couple good rounds here and there. But just all T-sided. And a very, very, it was almost like a throwback towards the old Envy, where they tactically didn't see anything special. It was essentially just a bunch of 4-1s that they were executing.
And Henny as well had quite a quiet game, I think it's safe to say, for parts, but he definitely stood up towards the end there. We saw some crazy frags. That shot on A-Long was one of the best ones. But we do actually have Smix with another interview, so we're going to send it right over to her.